Hello, friends and family, and welcome back to our channel. In today's discussion, we're going to be talking about guilt. Yes, we will be talking about guilt and how it impacts our life and strategies on how to navigate the journey of overcoming guilt. If you're interested in the content, stay tuned. And if you're ready, my brothers and sisters, let's get into it. Welcome back to Choosing to Live Now. My name is Taneshia, and I hope that each of you are doing well today. And I want to thank you so much for logging in to the conversation today. So my brothers and sisters, if you've been following our channel for any length of time, you know that our goal for this year is that we want to live our best life in 2022 and beyond. And every time I can think about it, every time we meet, I want to remind us of that because life is still doing what it does. And that is what? It changes all the time. We got crazy stuff going on in the news. We see gas prices and food prices and various things that are constantly changing on a daily basis. But what we want to do is we want to stay stable by doing what? Changing our thoughts about what we're going through. Because even though we can see all of these things around us that are uncertain, my brothers and sisters, the reality is if we can change our mind and focus on the fact that we can only change the things that we can change our life. And we can go from just existing to living our best life by learning how to navigate our journey more effectively. And so as we've been talking about this conversation for weeks and weeks and weeks, something I've been hearing in my private chat, in some of my private conversations with people in the communities that I serve, is that there is a huge elephant in the room of so many people's lives, and that is guilt. I know. I've heard so many clients, so many family members, so many parents and singles and just different adults at different stages of their life really talking about their journey through life and how they feel like they've been stuck in a place of guilt. And I thought that was such a powerful conversation to have in our community because it's such a prevalent place or a prevalent state of mind that many of us have been going through as we're trying to get started for the year, that I wanted to talk about it to you today. And so when we think about the concept of guilt, you know how I love to do it, my brothers and sisters. I love to bring you formal definitions that are backed up in research so that you can know that the information that you're getting from me, that I did not just make it up. It comes from a real place. And so I would like to read to you the definition of guilt that has been provided for us by the American Psychological Association. Okay? And this is what they say that guilt is. So according to them, guilt is a self-conscious emotion that is characterized by painful appraisal of having done or thought something that is wrong, and is often accompanied by the readiness to take action designed to undo or to mitigate that wrong. That's a mouthful, right, my brothers and sisters? I know. Trust me, I know. So you might be saying to yourself, I heard all the words that you said, but what does that mean? In layman's terms, what they are trying to say to you, my brothers and my sisters, is that guilt is an emotion that makes you and I feel self-conscious because of something that we did wrong or something that we thought that we did wrong. And as a result of this feeling that makes us self-conscious and worried and concerned, we do everything in our power to try to undo the wrong we actually did or we thought that we did to someone or in some situation in our lives. That is what we spend our time doing, trying to undo it or to mitigate the effects of what we think we did wrong or what we actually did wrong. And so when I was really preparing and doing an evaluation of common types of guilt that we experience in our adult life, the two that came to mind were things that we've omitted from our lives that we did not do yet, and guilt associated with roles that we're responsible for. So let me give you an example. So omissions in our lives are things that we leave out or we do not do. And one of the common places that I often hear adults talk about feeling guilty is, I did not go to school. I did not get my education. I did not get a training. That's an omission. I omitted that thing from my life for the purposes of maybe making money or taking care of my family or, moving forward. I didn't start that business. Or I started a business, but I kind of stopped it for a minute and I never went back to it. This omitting, I did it, but I stepped out of it. This is so common over and over in the lives of adults, where I've heard so many people talking from this stage. And I'm talking about, from as young as, early 20s all the way into their 70s and 80s. Had I done this in 1942, my life would be totally different. So what is happening when these individuals are living in this omitted sort of guilt? They are ruminating, and we talked about that early on, which means they're thinking about it over and over again. And because of what they omitted, did not do, or what they did not listen to, that they deemed to be wrong, or it actually was not maybe the best choice, they are now stuck in their present because of the mistake that they made in the past. And instead of letting it go, they are living their life in the guilt of what did not happen and what could have been. Woo, my brothers and sisters. The second type of common guilt that we deal with in adulthood is this guilt related to our relationships or things that are missing in a relationship. And one of the ones that comes to mind for me is parent-related guilt. What you talking about, Taneshia? We always talk about this concept in communities of parents of mommy guilt. But my brothers and sisters, there's not just mommy guilt, there's also father guilt. That's the reason why we call it a parental guilt complex that we're dealing with. So when we're dealing with mommy guilt really is hard on women who are working women who feel like they want to be everything that their children need, but they have to go out and provide, or they really want to be everything that their children need, and also they have their own personal goals that they want to meet at the same time. And so there's this idea of, I want to be domesticated as our society says that we should be. And in American culture, what a domesticated mother looks like is one who is there for every single milestone that their child has. They are there to make sure that they, are breastfeeding their children, that they've had natural births for their children without medication, that they are present for them every single time that there is an event. Idealistically, in American culture, the idea is that the mother would be at home. She would not be working outside of the home. She would prepare all the meals, do all the cleaning, do all the homework, and be all things that her children would need. Yeah. And so when a woman decides or realizes that she needs to work outside the home whether it be for financial purposes, mental stability, or just a desire to be active in the world and social. There is a guilt that comes over her because she does not meet society's standards of what the norm is for a mother. If you are a mother or know a mother, can you relate? Yeah. Another type of parental guilt is father guilt, right? Where fathers are designed in American society to go out of the home and work. They are designed, or we believe them to be, the providers of their families. We typically see them working as the head or the leader of their family. They're supposed to, according to our society, earn more money than their wives. If their wives work, they are supposed to be the primary breadwinner. They are supposed to get up early, go to bed late, and they are supposed to be the one who deals with all the tough weather, all the difficult things in life for the purposes of taking care of the family. But sometimes when fathers are high earners, there is a guilt that they experience. That number one, they do not want to be at the job that they're at, but they're doing the job that they're doing because they recognize that their children or their family have a need that has to be provided. And so they give up the desire that they have to be a musician, an artist, or to do another field that they love and care about. And they struggle with this level of resentment at times that they can never bring to the surface because they feel like they are unfulfilled, but there is so much responsibility over their head that they must provide for the family. And so then, because they're out for so long, there are other men who feel guilty that they miss basketball games, that they miss soccer games, that they miss being able to be present with the family because this job that requires them to be out in the world and being the head of their family keeps them from being able to be present. And or if they are home, they're so exhausted from all of the things that they're required to do. Even if they work from home, they're so exhausted by what they're designed to or are required to do that they are not able to be present. And what's interesting to note is that mommy guilt and daddy guilt looks totally different, because for a mother who is guilty, she might try to make up for the things by trying to be present in other ways where she could not be, where she may not be able to be, in all of the domains that society says, like being home, cooking all the meals. She might try to make up in another way, or she might even, cry and be emotional and, share the fact that there's a guilt that she has. But for men, sometimes they feel so much guilt that they withdraw. Can I say that again for the people in the back? Yeah, when men feel guilt, sometimes they withdraw. And so you might find them being more likely to be sleeping. They can easily become, substance abusers. And the substance could be alcohol. It doesn't have to be like a really hard drug. It could be that they become numb to being on social media. And to the family, they look like they're unengaged. But in actuality, there's so much guilt from all the things that they miss that sometimes they don't even feel present with the family when the family is there. So many stories, so many things have happened throughout the week, and their mind is so overloaded with the things they're responsible for that they feel the guilt that they can't even care about what's going on because they're worried about the things that they're unable to express. My brothers and sisters, that is what guilt looks like in adulthood. And so here's what I want to say to you today. Wherever you find yourself, if you have omitted something from your life and you feel like had you done it, you'd be in a better place. If you are a parent and you feel like you are not living up to what a parent is supposed to be because you're so divided by things in life that are beyond your control. If you've even been in the type of guilt that we did discuss, which is making mistakes. Because I didn't bring that up as much because we already know that we make mistakes and we already are way too hard on ourselves. But if we're having guilt because of an actual mistake that we made, my brothers and sisters, know that you're not alone. We all experience guilt from time to time. But what makes guilt dangerous is the idea that it becomes a cycle of rumination in our brains. And what I need you to know, my brothers and sisters, is it leads to declined mental health. Anxiety and depression have their space through guilt. Yeah. And so the first strategy I want to give you today is one that we all know very well in this community. Is we have to now face the things that we feel guilt about. We're not going to just acknowledge them. We need to face them. Look at them head on and deal with what they are. Our second strategy would be determine if these things that we feel guilty about are actual things that we've done wrong or things that we felt like we've done wrong based on the societal norms associated around them. What are you saying, Taneshia? There are some things that we feel guilty about that are not even realistic. They don't even make sense to our lives, to who we are, and to what we're actually able to accomplish. They are these idealistic, standards that were made by people that did not have your context to consider when those ideals were made. And while they fit a person in the world that it works for, it may not be you, my brothers and sisters. And I need you to know that. So when you're thinking about guilt, one, after you're facing the guilt, to determine where did it come from. Did you actually make a mistake? Or are your guilts realistic? Can I give you a little story? So I was talking to one of my very good sister friends, and we were talking about the idea of mommy guilt. And so for my sister, she shared the story of having her daughter and her going to school and feeling this worry that when she sent her daughter to school, this is the very first time going to school, that she would be perceived by the people that she was being cared for as not being taught enough, not knowing enough, not being advanced or developed enough for preschool. But my brothers and sisters, let's be real. It's preschool. We know that kids are on various levels, and teachers know that as well. But when I was talking to my sister friend, something came to mind that I shared with her that I'm going to share with you. The societal norms around my sister's experience were really related to the idea that America is an ableist society. What does that mean? It is a society that believes that you are the best representative of an American if you are typical, if you have the activity of all of your limbs, if you are considered cognitively normal, if you are considered to be able to not have a disability. So we discriminate in our culture against people who are different, who have a different type of learning style, who have a different type of communication style. We discriminate in the culture, sometimes unaware. And as a result of that, it puts pressure on parents when they send their children to school. They're not just thinking about, let me send them to school to learn. They're thinking about, I also want to send them to school as a good representation that I am an appropriate parent, because I do not want my child to appear to a group of people that they have a disability, because this is an ableist society. And if my child has a disability, they're going to treat them differently. Woo! And therefore, my sister friend's ideas were influenced by societal norms that have nothing to do with her. And at the end of the day, what she ended up finding is her daughter is just on track to where she needs to be. She is learning. She is playing well with others. She's enjoying her opportunity. And all of the worry that she had and the guilt that she felt was not even appropriate because she didn't do anything wrong. She did the best she could, and her daughter is doing just fine. And that, my brothers and sisters, is why I asked you in our second strategy to consider if you actually did something wrong, or is what you're hoping to have done related to something that is a societal norm that's not realistic to you. Number 3, once you've come to grips with whether or not you are at fault or you're taking on something that is beyond you, the next thing is ask yourself, do you have the power to change the mistake or the thing you thought you made a mistake in right now? Yeah. And then the next question you want to ask yourself, my brothers and sisters, if you have the power, do you have the drive? Because see, let's be real. If we go through this journey of our life and we talk about, I should have took this job, in Washington State when they gave me the opportunity, and now that I didn't, I'm stuck in this place and I can't move. I should have went to school at X amount of time. The question is, do you want to move today? Do you want to go to Washington State today? Are you ready to go to school right now? Ask yourself, not only do I have the power to change it, but do I have the fortitude and the drive to change it? Why? Because life is ever changing. Change is the consistency of life. It's the one thing we can count on. And the reality is, where you were 10 years ago, 5 years ago, when you shoulda, coulda, woulda, did that thing, you're not there anymore. You have changed. Circumstances has changed. And therefore, if you don't have the will, the drive, and the to-do to get it done, then we need to make a change of our thinking. Because that thing that you're guilty for not accomplishing or for making a mistake on, you don't have the drive to do it anymore. And it doesn't make you a failure. It means we need to recalibrate the way that we think. So now that we've figured out what we want to do, for those of you who cannot make a change now or who are not ready to make a change now, it's time to, number 5, forgive. Who am I forgiving, Taneshia? Yourself. Forgive. Over and over and over again. This repetitive thought, this anger, this wishing it away, this hoping that things would be different. It's time to mature past that and really walk through the process of letting it go. Because my brothers and sisters, if you're a parent, if you are someone who has omitted something from your life, you're a human being. You are not a robot. You are not a computer. You're a human. And that is so important for you to remember. You have made mistakes, and that is a part of the journey of being who you are. You've learned from everything. We talked about this a few weeks ago. We talked about the idea that we would use our mistakes as wisdom so that it could help us to be a platform to take us to where we desire to be and not being stuck. But my brothers and sisters, you have to find a way. I encourage you to find a way to forgive yourself. Be angry, be frustrated. You gotta forgive yourself. So let's go back and recalibrate. You have to find a way to be able to grieve the mistake that you made, the thing that you did not do. Get to a place of acceptance so that you can forgive and move on. No, you're not where you wanted to be. No, you haven't done everything that you had planned to do, but that doesn't invalidate how amazing and miraculous you are as a human being. And I want to tell you today that this guilt that you've been going through has been paralyzing. And I want you and I to be free. That's why we're here in this community. I do not want you to be stuck in a place of guilt. You can only change, what do we say in this community? You can only change what you can change. And I need you to know that you can change your life by changing your mind about what you have not done or what you have made a mistake in doing. Guilt should not be the end all and be all of any of our lives. Grieve it, release it, forgive yourself, and let's move on. Thank you so much for listening to the content today. Just know that I'm with you. You are not alone. I am here with you. This is a community. We're going to get through this together. Yes, the times have been difficult, but I need you to work on forgiving yourself. Let go of the guilt. Let go of the pain. Listen, if you like the content on this channel, please like, please share, please comment, please subscribe. Please let please let our friends and family know about the community that has been helpful and supportive to you. All right, my brothers and sisters, until next time, you're with me in my heart. Blessings to you today, my friend. Just in case you weren't sure.